Bearcat Blitz time on the Believe Network. I'm your host, Russ Heltman, with my co-host, Neil Meyer. Russ Heltman from Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, and Neil from Rivals Cincinnati coverage site, thefrontofficenews.com. Please check us out wherever you get your media, whether that's YouTube, a podcast platform, Spotify, Google, Apple, all available across those mediums. Just look up Talking Cats with Russ Heltman to follow the YouTube account and just follow the show on your podcast platforms as well. Please subscribe, rate, and review there to help us grow ahead of a really exciting upcoming 12 months for Cincinnati Bearcats football and basketball. A football team with this new facility, I mean, they are primed to get back to bowl contention, and maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, would be a lot of fun to cover a team that is in the mix for the Big 12 championship, at least an appearance in the Big 12 championship game once we get to the end of the season. That would be cool. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it would be very cool. Same with the basketball team. Just bowl eligibility for football and break through the NCAA tournament for basketball, two things that should be very much on the table for both outfits. We're going to talk about both of them today as we sit basically 1 month away from the start of fall football camp at Higher Ground in Indiana. And it's a football camp that I don't know if the players might be the least excited to leave Cincinnati of any fall camp in the history of Cincinnati Bearcats football, given they'll be leaving the indoor performance center and practice facility that is just seemingly sparking the recruiting train in a big way over the past couple of weeks. We'll start the show with that, get to all of the big football commits in recent days, a big run in June since the opening of the IPF, and then a little multi-team event reported involving the Cincinnati Bearcats and Louisville Cardinals. We'll discuss that, plus two other teams on the docket for Cincinnati. Kirk Kriisa spoke with the Cincinnati Bearcats media team and introduced himself to the fans. And the former employer of Cincinnati's general manager, Cory Evans, won the NBA title. Oklahoma City Thunder get the job done. And Cory Evans just came from that staff. So we'll kind of discuss whether or not that matters in the UC ecosystem. All that coming up on Bearcat Blitz. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. All right, Neil, let's dive into it, starting with the football side of things. Cincinnati Bearcats football is up to, I believe, 16 commitments now, and they landed their first Cincinnati hometown hero of the cycle, and that would be Taft linebacker Adam Kirtley. We'll start with that news. 157th best linebacker in the nation, 90th best player in Ohio, according to 24/7 Sports. Sixth commitment in June for Cincinnati Bearcats football, and he held 19 offers from the likes of Akron and Bowling Green before getting offered by Cincinnati last week and swiftly committing to now a 16-player class, which is ranked on 24/7 right at number 58 nationally. So still not in the top 50 nationally. They have not attained a 90-plus rated player or a four-star rated player just yet on 24/7 Sports. But a very busy month and a lot of guys coming into focus after the IPF goes live.
Yeah, absolutely, Russ. And I think that's a great talking point because you and I both mentioned that things would start to turn for the 2026 recruiting class following the opening of the new indoor practice facility. And it's done exactly that, right? You look back at where some of these recruits have gone. Official visits open the first week of June, and you look down, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 commitments in the month of June. That is huge for Cincinnati, and on top of it, you get three within the following days there over the weekend. And there's a couple big names in there with Jonathan Rulo from Bellevue, Illinois, Adam Kirkley here, the first local talent from Cincinnati, which is a great sight to see. He was offered last week, a 6'2", 215-pound linebacker. It's going to be an interesting thing to see now that Cincinnati has their hometown hero in this class. Do they continue to tap into the local Cincinnati area here in the tri-state area, which is something that we saw Luke Fickell have tremendous success doing. It's going to be interesting to see can they continue to build that pipeline here in Cincinnati now that the ball is rolling. And then they have a big time defensive tackle commit in Darius Simmons from Cairo, Georgia, who stands 6'3", 320 pounds. I think that is a huge addition as well for Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's very successful run here. Do you think, Neil, is it just the relationships and the timing is where we're at, and it's just a coincidence that it's happening this month? Or do you think getting eyes on that facility is changing the timelines for guys very, very swiftly?
Well, it's always great to note too that the relationships are always going to be the crucial part when it comes to recruiting. However, some of these guys were on campus quite a few times for Cincinnati over the last maybe year and a half. But
Right.
now that they fully get a $134 million practice facility that is now completed and they get their eyes on that, they get to get involved. They get to check it out, do some camps on their visits. They get to see what the finished product actually was. Most of these kids, that probably seals the deal, right? You look at most of these other guys, if they have some Big 12 offers or some of these low power four offers, not many of those schools have a $134 million practice facility and arguably a top five indoor practice facility in the country. So for them to kind of see that and be one of the first groups to be a part of that, it definitely sways the turning point a little bit and goes, okay, I could see myself here, right? But overall, I think the relationships is a huge part, but definitely have to consider in the factor of a brand new indoor practice facility also kind of makes things a little bit easier for some of these younger guys going through the recruitment process.
Busy month, busy month. You got Lance Dawson, you got Brody Jones, you've had Jonathan Rulo, you've had Darius Simmons, you've had Luke Grover, you've had Xavier Anderson. Who else?
Austin Hone,
Adam Kirtley, Nathan
Nathan Zep,
Zappatelli, and I don't know why they on 24/7. Yeah, it has been 9 commits because I don't know. And they have Austin Hone committing on December 7th of last year. I don't think that's correct at all. Austin Hone committed this month, so yeah, it has been a 9 commitment month. So I sold them a little bit short there. They got to update their datings on 24/7 Sports, but neither here nor there. Big month for Cincinnati Bearcats football. Neil, it's good to get commits, obviously. But is it alarming that there hasn't been a change in the ranking number of the Cincinnati Bearcats football class despite all these commits? They have not gone above 55 overall nationally, really in any ranking system that you're seeing around the country. Is that alarming? 3 years into Scott Satterfield's tenure and a tenure in terms of this class that I mean, yeah, there's another probably a month window where we're going to see some commits, but all in all, it would be shocking, Neil, if they nailed down three or four more guys. They're all 4 stars, and they actually got into the top 45 or top 40 nationally. It's seeming like they're going to be fighting for a top 50 spot at the most in the class of 2026.
Yeah, I don't think it's alarming. And the reason I say that is because of the new era of college athletics, right? I mean, most of these high school teams or these college teams are mostly looking at transfer portals kind of additions. They're kind of shying away from the high school ranks a little bit. But overall, I mean, for Cincinnati in this aspect, me looking down at just about all 16 of these commits, the biggest thing for Cincinnati is they're getting guys that are kind of under the radar a little bit, which is huge because we know the development that this staff is able to do. And a big part of this class, I mean, you look down, Russ, you have one, two, three, four, five, six offensive linemen in this class. We know the job Nick Cardwell is going to do, and he's going to put these guys in position to succeed. And we know how good he is at developing offensive linemen. But also, there's a lot of defensive linemen, defensive end commits in this class as well, and that's a credit to Walt Stewart. So overall, I think the relationships is huge, but there's some of these guys, Russ, looking at this class who might be able to come in here and make an immediate impact. And that stands for a guy like Luke Grover, a guy like Darius Simmons, who has played both sides of the ball, played offensive line and defensive tackle. But I mean, you look at him now, Russ, he's 6'3", 317, heading into his senior year of high school. This could be a guy who comes to Cincinnati and you plug right into position for Dante Corleone when he leaves for the NFL due to the size and the frame. It's basically the same kind of mold as Dante Corleone. And if you look down and you see that, you're pretty excited. But overall, I don't think it's alarming. But I think it's kind of a testament to what we have heard from the staff that they're really kind of looking at. They don't really care about the stars. They care about the attitude, the work ethic, all the other little traits that stars don't really matter if you can develop them, essentially. So that's how I kind of see it for them as well.
Five Ohio players in the class. You love to see that. They have seemingly nailed down their quarterback that they want to bring in terms of your yearly addition at that position. Brooks Goodman committed back in late April, and they have not added another quarterback since then. So it looks like Brooks Goodman could be the guy that they are looking to develop in the class of 2026. 85 overall rating on 24/7 Sports and not nationally ranked. So we'll see if he can break into those rankings in the final high school season he has this fall. Kid, take a quick break here, and then we'll get to the basketball side of things with everybody coming together, the transfer portal behind us, and the real work beginning in terms of the roster gelling and mixing together, namely guys like Kirk Kriisa and more. But first, we'll get to the MTE scheduled. That is on the docket for November and beyond, right here on Bearcat Blitz. Back at it here on Bearcat Blitz for the final segment of the show. Multi-team event, Neil. So it looks like, once again, we will not be seeing the Bearcats playing in a holiday tournament in the Wes Miller era. Don't they played in what, two? One technically, two, they had the Kansas City trip to go face Illinois in the um neutral
Hall
site
of Fame
aspect.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I would kind of count that. We'll say two. They've played two in the first 2 years of Wes Miller's tenure, have not done one since. It's a very interesting strategy, but it also brings in the opportunity for multi-team events, which Jeff Goodman of Field of 68 reported on Monday that Cincinnati is looping the Louisville matchup, which has got a date confirmed to be played at Heritage Bank Center on November 21st now, into a multi-team event featuring Eastern Michigan and the New Jersey Institute of Technology, which they took on during the 2022. They faced NJIT during the 2022 non-conference slate, made easy work of them there. So Eastern Michigan and NJIT will be making trips to face Louisville and Cincinnati, I'm guessing, at their own home arenas. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati matchup taking place against Louisville at a neutral site. Two more games confirmed, Neil, on the list of non-conference opponents. And I like seeing a Mac though get work done there. One day I want to see him play Ohio University. That would be a lot of fun to see them welcome my alma mater to Fifth Third Arena. But we'll take Eastern Michigan and NJIT in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing to think about this too, Russ, everybody knew that this Louisville game was going to be at Heritage Bank Arena downtown. But I am kind of happy to see it looped into a multi-team event. I know a lot of people were kind of anticipating on another big preseason tournament, but I am kind of happy to see it kind of looped in. You get a MAC school in there, you get the NJIT in there, New Jersey Institute of Technology as well. So overall, I'm kind of happy to see them get a MAC school in there, but it's going to be very, very exciting times to see the old Big East rivalry back at in the Cincinnati atmosphere.
And speaking of that atmosphere, a guy like Kirk Kriisa, I think, gonna just add juice upon juice to the Cincinnati Bearcats games with his just energy and on-ball basketball acumen. He introduced himself to fans during a video from Cincinnati's media team last week, and he talked about the importance of the foundation of setting things up right now in the summer for the upcoming year, the importance of teaming up with getting close with your teammates, all that good stuff. They had a fun little get together at Top Golf last week, and just a huge time right now, especially with what, 10 new players? Yeah, 10 new players on the roster. Yeah, I think, yeah, 10 new players, because you got Halvin Zealot, Day Thomas, and Jizzle James are the only remaining players on the roster that played last season. Obviously, Tyler McKinley was there as well, and he did not actually get on the floor. So it's huge, Neil, for those guys to come together and really get as much time on the floor together as they can in these summer months before the real practices start in September and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear that Kirk Carissa is taking the leadership role, right? Obviously, from his career, he has played at all many different levels of college basketball, Arizona, West Virginia, Kentucky. He's played at all these big time programs and he knows what it takes to win. So that to see him kind of take an initiative and become one of those leaders for Cincinnati is going to be huge. And it's going to be something they rely on heavily throughout this season. Now, I'm excited for what this team is going to be able to do, but it's going to be interesting to see with 10 new incoming transfers, how does this team really gel and connect on the court? So it's going to be interesting to see how summer workouts go, but I am getting excited for the first week of or the last week of October, first week of November when the season kicks off.
Can't wait for basketball season. It's going to be so much fun. Definitely my favorite time of the year in terms of sports. Right now is my favorite time of year in terms of overall living. I love me the summer, but love the winter because it's just a endless barrage of basketball and hoop. We love it. So Neil, Cincinnati brought in Cory Evans a few months ago. He is right in the thick of putting together all of this roster construction, the 10 new transfers that came in this offseason. There was a big hand in that, an introduction in that kind of additions, all those additions by Cory Evans, who was an amateur talent evaluation scout with the Oklahoma City Thunder before joining the Bearcats as their general manager back in late March of this year. And now his Thunder team have won the NBA Finals. Just an interesting kind of full circle moment for Evans. And I think just another instance of showing that it's going to be good business to be associated with hiring people off of that staff and out of that program.
Yeah, absolutely. And first off, too, Russ, while we're talking about this OKC Indiana matchup, you hate to see what happened on Sunday night to Tyrese Halliburton. You
Ugh.
have to
It
kind
was
of
like the
discuss it.
first play when I turned it on, Neil. I was like, all right, I'm going to stay up a little later tonight. This game is going to be electric, should be close. And then my man Tyrese just makes an explosion that he didn't have to do. Could have just taken the pull-up jumper and he goes down. That was just the worst, man. What do we have? We had three Achilles tears in this playoffs alone to stars. It's just, it's
And
terrible.
they've all worn the same number as well.
Right. That's crazy. All zero. It's just absurd.
So overall, you hate to see that happen too, because Russ, I know you just said it was one of the first plays you turned on. He was cooking
Right.
before
Then he had
the
three
end. Like
threes. I think he ended the game with the most threes in the game and went out in
he
the first
ended the
quarter.
game with the most threes, but most importantly, it was going to be his moment. I
I
think
know.
everybody knew that coming out. Like Russ, the first three threes that he banged were from behind the logo, like
Right.
on the end of the finals logo near half court, basically. So
I
he
was
was on.
feeling so good. I bet Tyrese Halliburton like 20-1 or 16-1 to win finals MVP right before the game. And we felt good until that split moment just changed everything. And they let it have too, Neil. It's just the basketball god just took a great game seven away from us. I don't know why they had to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, you hate to see that happen on the biggest stage, but then you turn back to what OKC has done, and Cory Evans played a tremendous part in it, in their run. Look at what OKC was able to do this playoffs, right? They were able to do something that not many expected them to do. And the fact that they can still go back and repeat, since they still have two upcoming first rounders as part of that big blockbuster deal with Paul George and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, OKC is in a perennial powerhouse essentially to go out there and continue to contend in the West year in and year out. So overall, it was great to see them continue to develop on the outside there in the playoffs because of what they were able to do with Cory Evans, right? You make the deal, you see Chet go off, you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander go off, Jalen Williams, all their draft pieces come together. It makes you very excited for what Cory Evans is about to do at Cincinnati. I know the first year's been hectic. Obviously, since coming to Cincinnati, he's had to go out and get 10 transfers. But after watching them in the playoffs, in the finals, they make their championship run, you're sitting back and you're like, okay, dang, like this has got me a little bit excited to see what Cincinnati's able to do now with Cory Evans at the helm. So it's got me fired up. I'll say that. I'm sure it's got many other fans across the country pretty fired up. But things are trending in the right direction, to say the least, with Cory Evans at the helm of the program.
Oh, Cory. I'm very interested to see if because like that OKC team is defined by defense. I mean, I'm sure Wes Miller is going to be showing his players clips of the defensive mastery that OKC put on display this past season, especially in the playoffs, and togetherness and a oneness and a staying even keeledness. And I'm interested to see if that's exactly what we see emulated by this new roster that Cincinnati has after being partially, if not majority, constructed by general manager Cory Evans. Did he take all three of those staple acumens, the level headedness, the never getting too fired up, the defensive intensity, and the togetherness? Does he have those kind of three attributes on display right away when we get to that non-conference slate? I'm going to be looking out for that and seeing just how kind of intangibly the same, how intangibly mirroring Cincinnati Bearcats basketball is to Oklahoma City Thunder basketball from this past season. Some intangibles that any team at any level of the sport could want to emulate in terms of guys. I mean, like I heard they didn't even really do the champagne celebration. They're kind of on to the next thing. Jalen Williams,
I
literally,
feel like that's because they all were too young to know how to pop the bottles of
right. I saw that
champagne.
video. They didn't know how to pop champagne. I saw
Caruso knew how to, but that was about it.
what Shed Holmgren tried to call Michelob Michelin star. He tried to work in the Michelin star there. And then Jalen Williams revealed today that it was the first time he had ever drank. He had never drank a beer before or anything, and that was part of the motivation for the team all season was we got to get to that champagne party so we can get Jalen his first ever drink. So stuff like that, and like the way they all stood together and did like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander included his teammates on his commercials this offseason. They include the teammates in every single post-game media scrum. Like the togetherness is so important. And Neil, it's a big reason I think why they won the title as the second youngest team in the history of the league to do so. It's because in this game 3 or game 4, when they're down against the Denver Nuggets in 2 series before, they can dig deep and tap into that togetherness and overcome their young kind of mental blocks that can hit players at that portion of the NBA calendar so often in history. They can dig into that and tap into that togetherness when you're down 2-1 on the road, trailing by double digits at Indiana with the chance to go down 3-1 and have your season ended. They can dig into that and pull it out of the depths. A similar thing could happen with the Cincinnati Bearcats if all of those players are rowing in the same direction with that same mentality. When you are playing together and when you're together as one through the hardest moments, you can overcome a lot of things. And that's what we saw from this Oklahoma City team. And knock on wood, and for Bearcats fans, I'm hoping we see a lot of that from the Cincinnati Bearcats team because I know Neil and I would love to cover a really good Wes Miller Bearcats basketball team and entrench his status as the man to lead this program and the man to continue leading this program throughout the rest of this decade in a very pressure-filled upcoming season for the program. Neil Meyer, Russ Eltman with you all on this week's early edition of Bearcat Blitz. We'll hit you later on this week and carry you into the weekend as we get ready to ring in July. You know what that means, people. Fall camp, pads clacking, and the smell of football very, very close in the college ranks. For Neil Meyer, I'm Russ Eltman. It's been Bearcat Blitz. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody.